Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Muse Jester. My name is Junior. Today we're going to be looking into Mondo's 1/6 scale Beastman. So let's take a look at this box really quickly. Now the box for Mondo, I've actually started cutting these up. I don't have a lot of room for these things anymore. But what I've done is I've taken this particular box art over here and I started framing all of them. Now, I don't have any more room where I'm gonna put this particular one, but I will cut it up and I'll save it just to make sure if I ever develop any more areas to put it in, I'll put it up there. It's really cool. The Mondo artwork is really nice. It's a really big box, so I don't have a lot of room right now. So there he is. This actually looks pretty cool too, this photograph. All right, this guy is really big. Let's see, it's gonna be noisy. Can't be helped. This guy first. Here's the first head sculpt. I like how they painted the white. It's like the white is actually painted on by hand. What I mean is it's like tribal paint that Beastman applied on his head, and I like how the difference where it changes from his skull to his hair. So Beastman is balding. Yeah, you know what? The pictures don't do it justice, I'm gonna have to say. Now, the only thing I might comment on is because you see how it goes up really quickly if I can. I'm not sure if it's showing. The white is not like complete white. It does look like it's smudged on or it's painted on, kind of like a clown white paint mask on. So my only comment is that it does that kind of application doesn't translate on the blue. The blue is more solid, so I kind of wish they were able to do that kind of paint smudging or paint application that they did on the white. So that's one of the head sculpts. Here's a second head sculpt. Now this one, as you can see, as his brow gets more furrowed, you get a lot more paint application on the wrinkles. Again, the white that I'm seeing, the application on the face is not like a complete white. It's interesting that this particular sculpt has earrings and this one doesn't. And the ridges, the knobs on his head is more pronounced on this one. Interesting. Now, you know how sometimes on Mondo we would get the um, kind of like a toyish classic look? Is this the toyish head? I like that when you look at him, it's not symmetrical. The snarl is higher here, while the eye is more squinted on this side. This one's more open. Look at the detail on that eyeball. So this is a chalice, got a spider over there. Nicely painted. Some weathering. It's not, it's kind of weird. So they designed it so it's not like a perfect cup. It's kind of wobbly on one side. And even the inside, it's not like a perfect circle. And the turkey leg, nicely textured. Got some red coming in here, some bloody gore. I mean, the only way this could be improved is if it's like some parts were glossy and some parts were matte. But, you know, here's the base. That's pretty shallow. Pretty shallow, but hopefully it'll be good enough. I heard that he was coming in with a waist grabber rather than a crotch grabber. I'm hoping this will be wide enough to catch onto his waist. All right, first is the whip. Let's see how big the whip is. It's really long. It's not going to be an accurate measurement, but I'll give you an idea. It's 14 inches long, and that's when it's doubled out. So this is 28 inches. This whip is 28 inches long. It's real rope. I think how they did it is they twisted the rope, and inside the rope is a little metal gauge. So this thing is freaking strong. Here's the detail on the handle. Nicely painted. Has a nice wraparound on the I guess handle. Oh, it's got that in the bottom. Honestly, you can hurt somebody with this whip. I think you can do real damage with this whip. Here are the bones over here. They look like real bones, to be honest. Like real chicken bones. There's two of these. And then one skull. Honestly, when I saw pictures of this being posted online, it doesn't do it any justice. This is like, it's almost criminal how much you will bypass the detail that's put in these skulls. It's amazing. Here's the gun. The gun is this weird. This is rubber. It's not posable. Oh, it's kind of sticky. It's supposed to emulate some sort of rope that's tied up around the handle, the stock. See? But it's kind of weird. It's just rubber. It's kind of weird like that. It's the same symbol as the pommel on the bottom of the pommel. This is nice weathering. What can you say? It's kind of sticky, oily. Wow, Beastman's own sword is imposing. I like this sword. It's massive. Some sort of discoloration at the tip. I'm okay with that. Gives it character. Yeah. I don't know why, but for some reason this sword is even more imposing than the power sword. Maybe it's because it looks almost like a real sword. Closed fists. Grasping hands. They're the same. They're basically almost the same pose, so we'll just concentrate on one. Look at that. It is rubbery, so you're not going to be afraid of breaking off the nail. I think the nails are painted well enough. I don't know how this will show up though. I'm kind of worried about that. Odd hand out, kind of like a relaxed hand. Not really doing much of anything, kind of like it's just staying there. This ball joint, it feels kind of weird to me. It's not gummy or anything, but it just feels I don't think it doesn't feel weak. It's nicely stubby, so that's good. Just kind of, I don't know. I kind of wish they were able to color match the ball joint to this orangey look. So I'm really worried that that's gonna stand out. But this is probably the one you're gonna use for holding the gun or the sword. That's it for the accessories. Now let's look on to the main figure. Let's look at this one. This is like the bicep armor that he puts on. Since it fell out anyway, nicely detailed. It's all rubber, but it's pliable. This is for the right side, looks like. I don't know if I would have preferred if this was real rubber and this was a real clasp. I think this is good the way it is. And the other side's identical. Well, it's not identical, but you know, the same design and everything. The horns do have their own unique scratches and everything. All right, finally, let's do the reveal. Honestly, you don't even need this. His feet is so big he can stand on his own. I'm like reaching just to get him in frame. I'm fully extended on my arm. This guy is about 13 3/4 of an inch. The highest spot seems to be the ridge on his head. It's kind of hard to do this. Okay, so this thing is heavy. It's really heavy. It's kind of worrisome. The joints seem to be fairly strong, but let's test it out. Let's look at this face first, right? So kind of like this face where he's grimacing, This one also has the earrings off the side. So I would assume that this one is the one that harkens back to the toy face. It has less prominent ridges, doesn't have the earring, doesn't seem as angry as the other two. So I'm going to assume this is the modified portrait. So movement on the head. That's it for up and down. Trying to look. If you notice, there's one solid neck over here, so there's not going to be any kind of movement on the neck, so it's all in the head. Okay, seems I'm actually able to lift it a little bit more. Okay, so the head, there must be a long post over here, because in certain situations you can only get that high, but see how you move it like that. Now you can move it a little bit more higher. Yeah, so there's some sort of long post in between that's helping the articulation. Get that much and that much. See, watch this. I'm gonna move the post inside it while keeping the head straight. See that? Okay. This armor over here is a separate armor. I saw that in somebody's post. Now on top of the separate armor is the actual cloth. Oh wait, what? What? Oh wow, no. So this cloth is actually glued into. I see, okay. Okay, we'll do that later. So you have, oh man, look at that. So be careful with this fur. I think it was just a stray one, but yeah. So the nice thing about the fur is that there is a bit of dirty washing on it, so it's not just a complete bright light as my camera seemed to be showing. It's, again, I feel like the pictures that I've seen on this one doesn't do this justice, because it's matted, it's dirty, and it should look dirty because he's supposed to be an animal of the forest, right? The elbow, the shoulder moves pretty well. There's no ratcheting or anything, right? Here's the side over here. Massive bicep. And as you notice, this is the elbow. It's pointing this way, so be careful on that. Just twist it properly. Now it's facing correctly because you're seeing the joint over there. It's moving pretty well, so it can go up that high. You have the bicep swivel. Be very careful because there's a fairly big gap in between this, but I think that's necessary because it is textured and it's gonna hopefully prevent paint rubbing, because you don't want to damage all this paint work that's included in your figure. So the arm, that's as straight as the arm can go. This thing is really heavy, so any kind of weight you're putting on there, the knees will tend to buckle. So that's as straight as the arm can go. And then, oh, that's kind of nice. It's actually able to do an almost 90 degree. 90 degree. Yes, 90 degree. Now this wrist bracer over here, this is also cloth, and then you have rubber, and then you have the chain. This is all in one piece, so this chain is just like that, which is kind of disappointing. I wish this moves around. Okay, so the cool thing about this gauntlet or bracer or bracelet, it's gonna hide that joint that I was so afraid of seeing. This one over here, and I think it does a fairly good job of hiding it. The other side, the design of that. Oh, look at that. This okay, so the design of this one is the same as the other side, except the chain is broken here. Again, it's hiding the ball joint over here. But notice that this hand, which would mirror this hand, that's the same piece, has wrappings, hand wraps over here, and then he has this nasty looking weapon on it. This is the only hand that carries that. Every other hand is bare as this one. Yeah, the necklace of Beastman. This is attached permanently to one of these horns over here, and you have the detail over here. So I saw somebody do this on Facebook where they had removed the fur and you see sculpted fur underneath. I thought the fur was just resting on top. It's not. The fur is actually glued onto that armor. Okay, as you can see, so this is the armor over here, goes around over here, nicely weathered and everything. Yeah. Then you have the belt. Oh my gosh, my arms are gonna get tired. This thing is probably as heavy as Panther or Battle Cat. Painting. Nicely done. All right, so one thing that I'm not sold on this figure is the loincloth. I saw the pictures of it. I wasn't a big fan. Now that I'm looking at it, this is the only one that I'm not really fond of. The cool thing is it seems to be, it's not attached or glued to anything. So maybe I can, is this still the same one or is stuff falling off? So maybe I can replace it. I don't know. We'll look underneath. And we can see Beastman's loincloth over there. The joints actually, at least for the upper half, moves fairly well. Even better than some of the masters, some of the Mondo stuff that I've seen. The joint on the leg, oh, that's stiff. Oh, that's stiff over here. Can we even move this upper leg? Yeah. Oh, boy. All right, let's look at the knee. One movement over there. Movement over there. While we're here, might as well look at this one here. Nice soft rubbery armor. It's not gonna hurt you or anything. I hope this doesn't degrade over time. Really nice pitted armor over here. Nice weathering, nice color application. Here's his foot. Tickle, tickle, tickle. So moves that one. Yeah, definitely not stiff. I'm almost afraid this might start loosening up too loose, but we'll find out in the future, I guess. Again, I don't know how much movement we're able to get on here. It doesn't seem like it's a lot. It's not a lot. There's no way. There's too much. There's too much to hit on this. There's not a lot of give. So I don't really think there's any movement on the upper. Let me do it off camera. So just to make it easier to handle and move things around, we've switched views, and let's see what's going on with this figure. So on the pictures, this was removed. I don't know how they did that. Okay. Seems this cannot be removed. Okay. So that's the joint over there. It's very big, so that's kind of good. Um, it's a fixed joint. It's kind of weird, but like the angle of this one seems to be different from the angle of this one. But it's, I know it's got to be the same piece. I only mentioned that because it seems to be stiffer in this leg than the other. I was careful trying to move it, but now that I've kind of loosened it, I'm hoping, yeah, I will have a little bit more range, so I'm not so scared to move it around. So the range of the legs splayed will be that much. Because the kneecaps are a completely separate piece, as you can see from here, you can move it, you can twist it that one and then twist another rotation down here. Okay. So that kind of helps to make it more dynamic. So my initial assessment that the legs were less articulated was mistaken. You can see that there's a big gap from the abs to the upper body, and that's fine. That will give you a little bit more play movement on the chest if you need to. Of course, all this movement is really hard to do when you have the armor on. And it's really, really tough. Some people have suggested using heaters and all that stuff, but I think it should be able to move more, but I think I'm fine with it the way it is right now. Yeah, definitely one of the things that's gonna make it hard to move is the armor. But here's the figure. So there's the figure on its raw state, in its raw state. That's as naked as you can make it. As it is, you can even display him like this. I think it looks great. These three um, bone pieces, I've connected it in one at the very top with a green wire. As you can, I'm not sure if you can see it. On the very top, and then I looped it back, and then I just did it. It's very thin, so I think it's not that noticeable, and you can hide it behind the strings. Well, just there's no way this thing's gonna come loose now. I'm thinking of modifying the breeches or the loincloth by adding these strings over here. So let's see what we can do in that. And then once I'm done with that one, I'll put back the equipment. I really do like the equipment as it is. So, oops, I forgot to hit record while I was making this adjustment to the loincloth over there. I just use fabric glue, Gorilla Glue. Everything, most of the mods that I do, especially for high-end collectibles like this, I always want it to be reversible. So even with this one, the wire, I can cut that off or just unwind it if I want to. I created this thin piece of fabric. Then I glued in these individual, I got this from my dog toy strands, and then I put the fabric on top of it. As you can see, some of them are actually kind of loose. It doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, I wish it had been long enough to cover all the way here. Then I can just start shaping. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now for this. It just breaks up the solid leather loincloth. And as you saw, everything's completely reversible. I just pull it out if I want to. So let's put back the rest of his armor. So the first time I saw this, I actually wasn't too keen on this, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna pre-order this or not. Um, Mostly because I don't like the proportions of a short, stubby leg compared to the big, wide, swarthy upper body. But, and I'm looking at the camera, and that opinion stays. But I'm looking it in hand, and that opinion disappears. It's kind of weird having it in hand. Um, you know what this reminds me of? What this figure reminds me of is this is almost like this figure is how you would describe a dwarf. Um, like in the Lord of the Rings kind of dwarf, where they're squat, stubby on the lower body part, but the upper body is ripped, swarthy, muscular, as if it was a two different body types altogether. That's what I'm getting from this design. Obviously, Beastman is supposed to be bigger than the average figure. I I like that. I like how tall he is compared to the regular sized He-Man, but not too tall, as if monstrous. Now, in the cartoons or in the regular toy line, except for the new Masterverse, they're basically the same body buck, right? And that's what we've been accustomed to with Beastman. Um, I actually really like this design compared to the Masterverse. So when I first saw this, I was commenting that I really like the proportions on the Masterverse, where it's bigger than than a regular Masterverse line, but I like the proportions where the legs are long, the arms are long, and you have a smaller body to make him look monstrous. But now that I'm seeing this guy, I actually kind of prefer the Mondo design choices that they've made for this character. Um, Kind of like, he does kind of look like a gorilla, doesn't he? With the shorter legs and bigger upper body. So the only thing, maybe the chalice is supposed to be held by this hand. This is kind of too tight. This I'm kind of afraid of paint rub on this one, even though they made the paint application better. Yeah, I would guess this is for the drinking hand. I really like this one though. That's why I don't want to move that one. And then this one. I don't think I'll ever use this because I at least need one for the whip. I think I prefer displaying him with a whip rather than with a sword. What do you guys think? Don't you think Beastman has to come with a whip? And I really like the design of this one, so I don't want to... maybe... That is a shame. That's the only hand that came with that. Let's look at how tight this thing is. Yeah, that's a nice... listen how this thing pops out. You'll understand when I say that the ball joint feels weird. Well, I guess you didn't hear it, but it just feels weird. I don't know why. I think that's the sword and the whip. That's too much. The whip, because the rope braiding is so thick, it's easy to curve it. Doesn't look unnatural. I mean, or even if it does, it's easy to shape it so that it forms naturally. This thing is really heavy. It's yeah, I'm definitely gonna be worrying about the joints in this one. Kind of like how I worried about the Battle Cat joints and the Panther joints because the figure is so heavy. I don't know if they're able to do ratchets on these things in the future, but I think for heavy figures like this and the Battle Cat, they really need to think on ratcheting system on this one. Yeah, I think I've been won over. I really do like it. My concern about this thing being too smooth is covered by these two gauntlets over here. You really almost can't see the joints in this one. I really like the fact that they sculpted the fur on the joint so you can barely see it. Um, my other disappointing part is that the joint is not as colored as the rest of the figure, so it's kind of standing out. But in the shadows, you almost can't tell. I like the material that they use on this because it's loose to the point where it does fall off. It might get irritating, but honestly, I feel I prefer it that way because I know it's not going to cause any kind of paint rub. They definitely did change how they applied the paint, unlike the previous He-Man, where it seems like it's powdery surface and you can easily rub the paint off. It's not like that anymore. They did put some sort of spray paint coat on this one, which is similar to what I did with my He-Man over here. So the only thing that I am not sold on is the loincloth. Everything else looks great. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for my review for the Mondo 1/6 scale Beastman from the Masters of the Universe. This figure, having it in hand, really changed my opinion. I'm really glad I bought it, and that's how I'm feeling now when it comes to Mondo. I think if you're like me, who's been very satisfied with these figures, very surprised at how they are in hand, I think you should have the attitude, which would be what I'm gonna be doing from now on, is that even though you're kind of doubtful with the initial release or even the pictures, I think you should, if you're liking the line, to buy the figures that they're offering if you're interested in the character that's being presented. Because Beastman, when I first saw it, and I don't know if they tweaked it from the initial design that Toy Shiz saw, and even throughout the marketing promotional pictures, I was doubtful with this figure. In fact, the only reason I decided to buy it was, for one, the $300 price range was cheaper than I expected. I thought they might do 350 to 400. Not saying you should, Mondo. I think this is a great figure and a great value for the price that you put in. And also, in one of those promotional pictures, they had him completely naked. So you didn't see the bracer in the arms, the thick armor clothing, and you didn't see the foot part. So you just saw the basic figure, which you saw me do earlier. And I was able to see the proportions of the figure inside. And because of the customizable option of removing any part of the armor except for the loincloth and the belt. It it gave me enough of an option or a choice to see which one I would put in the figure. So I thought, let me buy it, let me try it out and see if I'm gonna like it or not without, by removing certain parts of the armor, right? That was my mindset, and that's the reason why I bought it. Now having it in hand, I'm gonna tell you this now. I'm very happy that I did buy it because aside from the loincloth, leather, everything is really good with this figure. Even though I saw pictures of this in Facebook posts or in YouTube reviews, and even now while I'm looking through the viewfinder of my camera, what you're seeing right now is so much more different from what I'm seeing live. I don't know how to say it. It's just, maybe it's because of my lighting through the camera, but my lighting through live is so much more different. Like, this guy is more cohesive than what the camera is portraying, and I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to say it. Like, but I will say this: if I'm saying that right now, that means, like, in future releases of Mondo, I need to give them the benefit of the doubt that I need to hold it in hand and see it for myself in my hand, not just on through the pictures, because I'm also feeling the same way towards Orko. As you know, they've already finished the pre-order for the deluxe Orko, which included the plain Orko and the female sorceress Orkoette, I can't remember her name. And I wasn't too sold on the main Mondo Orko figure. And even then, after having played, the last one that I had purchased was Skeletor. Even then, with the Orko, I was looking at it. One of my comments was, I'm not sold on the Orko yet, but I know from my experience that having things in hand drastically changes my opinion. And this is what's going on with this Beastman. Having it in hand, playing with it, drastically changed my opinion. Like I said, the only nitpick I would have is the loincloth. And what I've done, and you've seen what I've done, is it makes it more raggy. The loincloth, the leather loincloth was just too clean. It just, and I didn't want to smudge it up or anything. And even with this one, even this one looks too uniform. I'll mess it up a bit. But what I'm doing, as you saw from what I did, it's all reversible and everything, and I can just take it up and modify it or anything like that. So thank you for watching. I hope this helped you guys out. I think I covered as much as I can. The little snippet of the articulation and a different viewpoint, I just shot that after my initial review to insert it to add more information and all that stuff. And I know it lengthened the video, same as this one, but I hope you guys were able to get it. And if you don't, I don't know what they're going to offer in the regular release. Definitely fewer accessories for sure, but this is still a really good figure. Like, unbelievably good. It surpassed my expectations. Let's just say Beastman surpassed my expectations. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you were able to stay long enough to to hear my comments and my evaluation of the figure. And I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.